Picture a single wall of black steel cabinets, 16 racks wide, laced with almost 7,000 strands of glowing optical fiber, humming so hard it needs a small power station of its own to stay alive. Inside it sit 384 computer chips that, on paper, China was never supposed to be able to build. And right now, that machine is beating Nvidia's most powerful AI system on Earth. Here's the part that should stop you. Huawei did not do this by building a better chip. Under US sanctions, it can't. The chips inside that wall are worse than Nvidia's, slower, hotter, made on banned technology. And it's winning anyway. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how Huawei pulled that off, why Nvidia's business inside China has nearly collapsed in a matter of months, and why the part nobody saw coming isn't in the chip at all. It's in a single decision that turned America's own export ban into a weapon pointed back at it. Let's start with the machine. The machine is called Cloud Matrix 384, and the comparison that matters is brutally simple. Nvidia's flagship AI system, the GB200 NVL72, packs 72 of its best chips into one rack and produces 180 petaflops of AI compute. That system is the gold standard, the one every Western data center wants, and the one China is forbidden to buy. Huawei's answer doesn't try to match it chip for chip. It buries it in numbers. The Cloud Matrix 384 wires together 384 of Huawei's Ascend processors across 16 racks, and according to the engineering breakdown by the analysts at SemiAnalysis, it delivers around 300 petaflops, roughly 2/3 more raw compute than Nvidia's best. It also carries about 3.6 times the total high bandwidth memory and 2.1 times the memory bandwidth. Sit with that. The system the United States banned China from buying just got out-muscled by the system China built instead. How? Through the connections. Those nearly 7,000 optical fibers form what Huawei calls a supernode, an all-to-all optical mesh that lets all 384 chips talk to each other at once, as if they were one enormous brain instead of 384 separate ones. Think of it less like a faster engine and more like replacing one genius working alone with 500 competent people wired into a single shared mind. No individual is the smartest in the room. Together, they outthink the genius. But this kind of victory has a price tag written in electricity. That wall of cabinets draws about 559 kilowatts, nearly 4 times the power of Nvidia's system to do a comparable job. For every unit of electricity Nvidia sips, Huawei gulps 4, which sounds like a fatal flaw until you remember who is building power plants faster than anyone on Earth. Huawei did not win on efficiency. It won by deciding efficiency was not the game. And that brings us to the thing that shouldn't work at all, because the real weapon was never the hardware, and the engineers knew it. Here's where it stops making sense on paper. Open up that wall and look at one chip, the Ascend 910C. By SemiAnalysis's own measurement, a single Ascend is worth roughly 1/3 of one Nvidia Blackwell. It's fabricated by China's SMIC on a 7-nanometer class process, technology Nvidia and the West moved past years ago, and the US sanctions are specifically designed to keep that technology out of China's hands. So the picture is genuinely strange. Huawei is winning a system-level fight using chips that lose almost every individual fight. The trick is in that word, system. 5 inferior chips, networked tightly enough, more than overwhelm one superior one. The sanction made it impossible to build a better brain, so Huawei stopped trying to build a better brain and built a better nervous system instead. And in March 2026, it pushed the hardware even further. On March 21st, Huawei launched its newest processor, the Ascend 950PR, on a card called the Atlas 350. It carries 112 gigabytes of Huawei's own memory, 1.4 terabytes per second of bandwidth, and Huawei claims it delivers roughly 2.8 times the performance of the H20, the only chip Nvidia is still legally allowed to sell into China. At about $16,000 a unit, Huawei plans to ship 750,000 of them this year, with mass production already running since April. That alone would be a serious story. A sanctioned company shipping 750,000 advanced AI chips in a single year. But here's what should genuinely surprise you. None of those specs, not the petaflops, not the memory, not the supernode, are the reason Nvidia is actually losing China. The hardware was only ever the visible half. The move that broke Nvidia's grip was a decision most people scrolling past the chip announcements never even registered. And it's the single decision that turned America's own export ban into the thing that broke Nvidia's hold on the entire Chinese market. For years, everyone watching this fight focused on the wrong thing. They asked whether China could build a chip as fast as Nvidia's. But Nvidia's real grip on the world was never the silicon. It was the software, a programming system called CUDA. Every serious AI lab on Earth wrote its code for CUDA. Switching hardware meant rewriting years of work, which is exactly why even after the US banned Nvidia's best chips from China, Chinese labs stayed chained to Nvidia anyway. The ban took the hardware. CUDA kept the customers. That is the lock the Ascend 950PR was built to pick. It ships with a software stack called KNN Next that is built to be CUDA-compatible, meaning Chinese developers can take the code they already wrote for Nvidia and run it on Huawei with minimal rewriting. The thing that kept companies loyal, the cost of leaving, was quietly removed. And the moment the cost vanished, the dam broke. ByteDance, the company behind TikTok, committed roughly $5.6 billion to Huawei Ascend chips for this year alone. Alibaba and Tencent lined up behind it. Huawei now expects around $12 billion in AI chip revenue in 2026, up from about $7.5 billion the year before, while Nvidia's share of China's AI chip market has collapsed towards zero. Now follow the whole chain back to where it started. The United States banned Nvidia's chips to slow China down. That ban erased Nvidia's competition inside China. With its rival gone, Huawei captured a captive market and earned both the reason and the revenue to attack the one thing that ever kept those customers loyal. The wall, the supernode, the 950PR, the CUDA-compatible software. None of it gets built this fast in a world where Chinese firms could just buy Nvidia. The export ban didn't choke Huawei, it incubated it. That's the real story hiding behind the chip, not a faster processor. A country that was told it couldn't play the game, so it changed the rules of the game. So what does all of this actually mean? Step back from the racks and the petaflops, and the pattern is hard to miss. The United States tried to win the AI race by controlling the most important object in it, the chip. Huawei's answer was to make the chip matter less, win at the system level, where China's strengths in networking, manufacturing scale, and raw electrical power decide the fight and dissolve the software lock that controlling the chip was supposed to protect. This is not Nvidia defeated worldwide. Huawei still trails on raw silicon, still burns far more power, still can't make chips fast enough to meet its own orders. But inside the largest AI market outside the United States, the contest is effectively over, and it ended in a way almost no one in Washington planned for. The chips are real, the orders are real, and the lesson is only beginning to sink in. You cannot ban a country into staying behind. You can only teach it to stop needing you.